The West Indies suffer a heartbreaking loss to New Zealand as they go down to the Black Caps by 5 runs in the thriller in Manchester. Now the Windies won the toss and elected to field, and they made some changes to the team that lost against Bangladesh, with Darren Bravo, the injured Andre Russell and Shannon Gabriel missing out, to bring in Evan Lewis, Carlos Brathwaite and a surprise pick of Kemar Roach. Now these changes were very impactful on the match, but we will get to that later. Now we'll talk about the bowling of the West Indies. The Windies were off to a dream start, with Cottrell claiming the wicket of Martin Guptill the first ball. Now initially it was ruled not out by the umpire, but when they reviewed it, they saw that the ball was pitched spot on and Guptill had the matching orders, giving the crowd an early salute from the soldier. And to follow that up in the over, continuing with his full-length deliveries, pitching it up rather than going short than the West Indies have been doing the last few games, he claimed the wicket of Colin Munro bowled. So the New Zealand team were down 2 wickets quite early in the first over. Now the fall of these wickets brought together New Zealand's most experienced partnership in Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor. Now they were a bit dodgy at start, being that the West Indies were bowling a very astute and disciplined line. Now Kane Williamson is traditionally a timer of the ball as opposed to the power hitters of the West Indies, and has also been able to capitalize on certain balls, being that he plays the ball very late. But the Windies show early signs of doing their homework, seeing that they maneuvered Chris Gayle between slip, gully and as well as short third man. Seeing that he likes to play the ball late, the ball would go behind backward square, and with Gayle being there, it was able to cut out that shot immediately from the batsman, giving him some early struggles at the start of his innings. Now on the opposite end, Ross Taylor is a player who likes to play the ball in front of his body, but due to the varying pace and line and length from the bowlers, which was Cottrell and Kemar Roach, he found some early difficulty trying to get off to a good start. So they were a bit hard pressed with scoring at the beginning of their innings. Now the plans of the West Indies were being executed, seeing that the New Zealand team was struggling to score at a run rate of 3 runs per over. Now despite their early struggles, the pair of Taylor and Williamson came together and overcame that famine period, eventually accumulating their runs along the way. Now they both reached a score of 50, and eventually the score the partnership amassed was in excess of 100. Now this was before Chris Gayle struck with the ball, claiming the wicket of Taylor, ending the partnership. However, Williamson did carry on with his bat, recording his 2nd consecutive century of the tournament and putting his team in a very good position after the early troubles of losing the 2 wickets in the first over. With the recovery mission on and Williamson scoring at will, the West Indies saw some signs of worry and were trying to figure out how they could stop the run flow. It wasn't until Jason Holder handed the ball to his main destroyer on the day, Sheldon Cottrell. If any person questioned the importance of Sheldon Cottrell to the West Indies team prior to this match, those questions were answered with distinction. Cottrell put on one of the greatest all-round performances I've ever seen in the field. Along with his 4 wickets of the match, he ran out Colin de Grandhomme and also claimed 3 catches, 2 of which was off Brathwaite's bowling, which ended the New Zealand innings. Now barring Cottrell's performance, the next main contributor for me with the ball for the West Indies was Kemar Roach. Yes, that selection paid dividends as he was one of the most economical bowlers on the day, going around less than 4 runs and over. And that also contributed to the restriction of the New Zealand squad scoring 291 after their 50 overs. Now going into the second innings, the West Indies were alarmed by some injuries to their opening pair. Now Evan Lewis picked up a hamstring pull, as well as Chris Gayle injured his shoulder while bowling. Now Gale's injury was not much for the universe, was as he shook it off and put on the pads to come out to open. However, Evan Lewis had to hold off until batting number 7 if needed. Now facing up to an astute bowling attack like the New Zealand team, the universe boss went about his business aggressively, playing strokes all over the ground. He also benefited from some drop catches in the field by the New Zealand team, but he made them pay for that, racing around to his 50. Now the problem he had was having a partner on the other end to support him, seeing that Shea Hope and Nicholas Pooran went cheaply. It was not until Shamran Hetmyer strolled to the wicket that the West Indies had a thriving partnership. Now the both left-handers of Gale and Sherman Hetmeyer went about their business very quickly. They played a barrage of shots. It was like CPL in June, and the crowd was treated to this entertainment and they were begging for more. Along with Gale, Hetmeyer pushed on to make his 50 in quick pace. Now, unable to break the partnership of the West Indies, Kane Williamson looked to his main man, which was Lockie Ferguson, and he claimed the wicket of Hetmeyer with a slower ball, starting a mini collapse of the West Indies middle order. This brought out Jason Holder, who unfortunately went for a golden duck, leaving the West Indies in awe of what could happen in this team. And now Gale being out by Colin de Grandhomme signaled even more panic in the West Indian camp. What could they do now? It left the crowd feeling that they had little hopes of chasing down this score, which they believe were quite easy at the start of the innings. And to add insult to injury, a hobbling Evan Lewis as well as a frustrated Ashley Nurse had brief stays at the wicket. Now this had silenced the Old Trafford crowd. Where would these runs come from? Can the West Indies still pull it off? It was all but over in the minds of the spectators. It was now up to the tail enders and Carlos Bradford, the latter coming under a lot of heavy criticism based on what was his role in the team. Was he a belligerent batting all-rounder who can get you some wickets, or a restricting bowler who can hold an end with the bat? He had lackluster performances up to this point, so that's added to the thoughts of the spectators thinking it was all over for them. No one could have predicted what was about to happen next. With the support of Kemar Roach, Carlos Bradford provided the catalyst for a rescue operation. He raced the 50, and despite losing the support of Roach and Cottrell, who played some resistance coming down to the end for the West Indies, it did not deter Carlos Bradford as he pushed on to score his maiden World Cup century. Now this feat sent the crowd into raptures. The West Indies only required 6 runs from 7 balls. And attempting to end the game in style, Carlos Bradford launched the ball aerial with hopes of 6. And at last, the hands of Trent Boult prevented celebrations from the West Indian contingent, bringing the end to the match of the tournament, in my opinion. I must say much respect to Carlos Bradford, who I as well have criticized in the past, saying that I wasn't too sure what was his purpose in the side, but he stood up and gave a fighting innings. Now the West Indies are seated at the edge of the tournament. Now it's really a slim chance of them getting to the semi-finals at this point, but they can still end the tournament strong. The next match is on Thursday against India, a very strong Indian squad, but we can still hope that these guys will give us a good showing. I must say, even though the loss, I am very proud of the team for their fight. They just still have to work out the little niggles in the middle. Now we look to India. Can they come out on top? We'll have to wait and see.